Hi there everyone. I just want to answer a question that lots and lots of people have been asking me in class. So we've been doing lots of live on Zoom classes, and we've got anytime recording classes available to people as well up in our Zen Art Dojo online. But we've just, because of COVID and all that, we've just opened up the studios again here in Balbowrie in Brisbane, Australia, and we're having some people in for in-person classes again. At long last, after all these months, we can actually get back together and paint together. But we've got to do all the social distancing thing, and there's rules, there's laws from the government that we can't touch each other's tools. So in the past, we used to just put on all the tools and paints and everything for you, but now of course we're not allowed to because we can't be touching each other's equipment and paints. So that means that everybody needs to bring their own kit of art into the classroom. Well, this will happen to you as well. If you ever go away to a workshop, an art workshop somewhere, you need to take your own paints and all your own equipment. And over the years, I've struggled with this and I've found the solution. In fact, I've got about 4 different solutions I'm going to show to you, and you can pick whichever one is the best one for you that's really going to suit you. I use these different ones for different reasons, but I'll show you each one of them and why and how they work. So I'll just tilt the camera, I'll see if I can show you, because it's kind of all down on the ground what I'm going to be showing you here, so hopefully I'll be able to get this in the right spot for you. So hope you can hear me all right if I'm over here. So this is the first option, is a little trolley basket that is designed for sewing machines. So you can go to the sewing store. We've got in Brisbane here, we've got one called Spotlight, and that's where I grabbed this little natty number from. So this is like, you can carry it like a bag, but you can also have it pop up, press the button, and press the button again and pop up, and it's got wheels on it so that you can trolley it around and you don't have to carry any of the weight that's in it. So it's quite a good solution. You can slip papers and things down the side and smaller tools down the side in these pockets. The only thing that I've got against this one, plenty of room in here. So it's big enough to hold a sewing machine, so you can pop your paint tubs or bottles or everything in there. Slip brushes in up here, little bits and bobs in here. The problem with this one for me is that it's fabric and it's quite pretty, so I'd be just a bit worried about getting my painty hands all over it and not being able to clean it. So it's got a bit of plastic here, but on the inside that's going to be hard if anything leaks and you're trying to clean it up. So it's going to look a little bit manky after a while. So I don't actually use this style of thing for my paints. I just keep it for sewing. If I want to go and sew at a friend's house with my machine. So I'll just pop that one aside. The next one is probably for most beginner artists. This is probably your best bet. This is a little collapsible crate box. It folds up like this nice little neat package. It's got 2 clips here. If you clip them shut, so they'll stay shut. I'm not sure if I clip these. Yeah. So that's the little crate. It's really small, so once you're back home you can pack it away and pop it in a cupboard and it's not going to take up lots of room. But it's a really cool little thing. It's called a wheelie cart. There's a website on here, www.wheeliecart.com, but I have to tell you, I bought this probably 20 years ago, so it may not, that website may not still be around, I haven't actually checked. But I have done a search on Google for these sort of crates, and you can, if you use the right words like wheelie cart or wheel crate or things like that, then you'll find a whole pile of places where you can buy this sort of thing. But what's groovy about this is once you unclip these sides, this whole thing opens out into a square cube box like this, and there's a little flap here that flops down as the base, and it's a really sturdy crate. So that's a really strong base inside the bottom there. So I've used this over and over for like 20 years. I use it all the time. It's got a push button here so you can pull the thing up. Let me just get this dear old thing up there. It's got two wheels here so you can tilt it and run it around, and again you don't have to carry the heavy weight anywhere. It's got really good handles on the side so you can lift it up this way as well. But what I like doing with this sort of crate is to, instead of just piling all my paints and brushes and everything there in a big pile that I've got to then pull out, I have a little inside crate system. So I found little packs of these sort of plastic crates at Officeworks. By the way, I originally bought this crate at Officeworks, but I've noticed they don't sell it anymore. But at Officeworks you can buy a pack of 6 of these little crates fairly cheaply. They're all stacked together and they come with white plastic wrapped around, just as a band around them. They're very affordable and they just fit perfectly inside there. So you could actually pile up as many crates as you want inside there because it fits perfectly. But it also has a bit of a gap here, which means you can put your brush wallet in vertically in there. And the good thing is, if you ever go to a workshop or come to our in-person classes, you just pop out your crates onto the table, open up the lids, put them away underneath or back in the crate, whatever, and bring out your brush wallet and you're away. You're kind of set up in about a minute, under a minute, you're set up on the tabletop. But the good thing is it holds 2 crates inside there, but if you really want to go mad, you could put 3, 4, even 5 of these crates. They lock in together nicely. And so then you could take this, and because you've got this straight handle here, they can't fall down, so you can wheel that around everywhere and you can actually carry 4 or 5 of those boxes really easily. Plus you've got that vertical area there. Sometimes I put paperwork in there. I've got it in a plastic pocket, I put some paperwork in there, or notebooks, or brush wallets as well go in there. So that's really handy. This is probably the most affordable and easiest to use option for beginner artists. So I reckon that would be my recommendation for you. But I'll show you a couple of the other ones. You probably know that I do a fair bit of work painting trompe l'oeil murals all over the place. And sometimes I go to quite remote locations where I've got to cart all my gear in and then cart it out at the end of the day. So I've got some bigger crates. In fact, I've got 2. I've got 2 crates that I use all the time for my murals. So this is the smaller one. This is the one that I use for all my drawing equipment. I've worked out that I need a whole pile of drawing equipment for doing all the technical drawing and geometry and all perspective and all that stuff. And then I've got another crate for my paints once I get into painting mode. So I'll tilt this back down so you can see this first crate. So these are ones that you get from the hardware store. So in Brisbane and in Australia, around Australia, you could easily find this sort of thing at a Bunnings store. So these are, I think these are both Stanley. They've both got the yellow and black. I can't remember, it's not actually written on this one. The other one is the other one is a Stanley. I'm pretty sure this was a Stanley one. But what's groovy about this one is, it's got this, there's a lever here, you have to pull this red thing to unlock that handle. That handle's locked in. Once you pull that out, that slaps down. Or you can carry it, but honestly, by the time you've got tons of paints and stuff in there, it's going to be really heavy. But what I love about this one is I can wheel it around. It's got 2 great big huge wheels. I'll just go back so you can see the wheels. Great big huge heavy duty wheels that you can go over gravel and cobblestones and everything with no problem. But it's actually breaks down into 2. So if you unclip this side and unclip this side, then you've got a separate toolbox on top. So you just go to the toolbox department in the hardware store. I go for these plastic ones because they're lighter weight when they're empty. So you don't want to go get one of those big heavy duty steel toolboxes that the handyman guys use, because they're too heavy even before you put the paints in. So I like a nice lightweight one. This one's got cute these little latches that this big latch hangs onto actually pop inside. You can actually pop them back in. I had a problem one day. I learned about that when I thought it had broken off, but actually it had just slid back in. So you can hide them back in if you're going to keep it as two separate toolboxes. But I just leave them always on there so that then I can pop this back on, clip that down so it locks in both together. What's groovy about this is that it's got, once you lock this one back in again here, then you can lift this up as a separate toolbox. But I try not to do that with huge heavy things in here because it's only hanging on by two little plastic clips here, and you can see this plastic bows a little bit. But it's great to have these two separate toolboxes. I'll show you why. This one here has got all these little compartments on top, which is pretty handy. So you can open that up and have three little compartments there for all your different tools on top. And on the inside, a lot of these will just flip open and the lid will stay there, but this particular one is a little bit, there's a lot of weight in that lid there. So you can take this tray out and you can have all your brushes in there. I've got all my drawing equipment. But it's quite tall under here, so you can have bottles and tubs of paint in underneath that bottom section. That goes this way, it's straight on one side, curved on the other. And that's got a little bit of height underneath up to probably about there, because the tray sits there. There's a bit of height under there for fairly tallish pots. But in this one, you've got the full height of the whole box. So that means you can actually put in there full height bottles of mediums or huge big tubs of paint. All sorts of other kit can go into that one because it's such a huge crate underneath there. So it's really cool to have these two separate boxes, because then you can just open them up alongside your chair and just grab things when you need them when you're in a workshop. So I'll just pop this all back together so you can see how that goes. And what I like about that as well is I can lift these into the car. So because they're separate, even if they're fully loaded up with lots of heavy pots of paints and brushes and whatnot, then I can still lift up each one and pop it into the back of my car. So I split it into two and then lift up each box one at a time. So that's very handy. Once I get it out of the car, then I lock it together like this, pop up the handle, and then I'm away, straight into the studio. You'll impress people when you go to a workshop when you're so organised with one of these things. So that's another choice if you want to go a little bit, have a little bit more room. It's a very practical choice. I survived with that one for many years. Then when I came to do a huge mural that was at a remote location, I had to go a little bit further so that I could carry more and more stuff. Now this is really overkill for most artists, but it's just a bit of fun to look at. This is kind of the top of the range. This one was probably, the cost of these things, this is probably a couple of $100 for this one, ranging down to about $40 for the collapsible crate, the black one that I showed you. So this is a really heavy duty one. You can see the size of the wheels on it. So it's still plastic, so it's not too terribly heavy while it's empty, but it's an amazing beast and I absolutely swear by it, and I leave this filled with all of my mural equipment whenever I'm in between murals ready to launch into the next one. So to get the handle down, we clip these two, oops, sorry for the noise, I'll just show you a bit closer. There's a little pinch clip here, pinch that and drop it down. The funniest thing was when I first saw this toolbox in the shop at Bunnings, I stood there for ages trying to work out how to get it open. and I couldn't figure it out. And I love puzzles, engineering puzzles, but I could not figure out how to get this box open. So I went and asked one person, they came and looked at it, they couldn't work it out, another person. Finally, there was 4 of us around this thing and we worked out how to get it open. Once you know, it's easy, but I'll show you. So it's such a good little beast. So I'll just wheel it around here. So you've got to get the handle down. You can see that there's a little locking mechanism here. So if this is unlocked at the moment so that this little knob can slide up and down here. But if you want to lock this, you just lean on it and push it into the little sideways slot there, and then it can't be opened. So it's just a safety thing when you're dragging it around so that it doesn't slide open. It never has for me, so don't worry about it too much. Unlock that so it can slide. Make sure it's unlocked on the other side, yes. Then you can see the front of it here. Yes, you can undo these latches, that's fine. You work that out, that's pretty easy. Flip the lid over, and it's so strong, this thing, that this is so strong here. I can lift this entire tray of brushes up and pop it there and just leave it there when I'm on the site. But then you can see in here, I've got a whole pile of paints. That's only a short tray there, so it's only short tubs. Like this is probably the tallest tub. This sort of size tub is the tallest tub that I can fit in there. In this sort of Daraboo Matisse size tub. So you can fill that whole area there with tubs of paint. But then I was trying to work out how on earth to get into the rest of it down here. Well, the trick is the whole thing slides sideways. So there's little foot positions here that you can anchor your foot on to keep the bottom in one place. Then you've got to unlatch this little knob here. I'm not sure if you can see that. This little latch here. You've got to pull that up, and that unlocks these 3 boxes here. So it's very cool. Have a look at this. I'll unlock this, slide it across, and it locks in at the other end. And you've got 4 lots of trays that you can grab stuff and work from it. So I've got paint pots here, paint tubes here in all these compartments. You can reconfigure those because it's got little panels inside there. And then inside this bottom area, I'll just bring the camera over so you can see. I can't tilt this big beastie over. So I'll just tilt this down so you can have a look inside. So I've got lots of room in here. In fact, it's full height. It's quite a height. It's probably 40 centimetres. Like foot and a bit, 1.5 feet high. It's a huge box. So I can actually put more gear in here, and it's so deep that I like using smaller tubs so I can pull them out and see what's in underneath. So it's really good to have that sort of crate within a crate system so that you can grab things without being a big fluster trying to find things. I haven't got this fully loaded at the moment, but usually when I go out to mural sites, it's pretty much chock-a-block with all the gear. So I love that because I can just spread it out and just grab my brushes and get going. Now this is going to take up a lot of room in a classroom, so it's not the solution for you if you're coming to an art class. But if you're going to a huge workshop that's somewhere at a remote location and you want to take a load of gear and they give you lots of room around your workstation, then it's a good solution. So to get it back closed up again, I've got to pull this latch up to unlock it, slide it across, it latches again, pop my tray back in here, close it up, undo this little latch here, pinch that together so I can get the handle up, and it's very strong. So that's my Stanley Fatmax beastie, that you can see the height of each of these drawers, they're huge. So you can get an awful lot into that option. So once again, these options, that's the biggest beast, a couple of $100 worth. The disadvantage with that huge one is right here, the disadvantage, that big beastie is very heavy to get into the car. So with this one, I've got to collapse down the handle and I kind of bend the knees and there's little handles on each side here, but I have to kind of, it's so heavy when it's got all the pots of paint in there. I've got to kind of hoik it up onto my knees, and then I like do a hip wiggle and like hoik the base of it up into the back of the Odyssey. So I've got a station wagon type of vehicle, SUV. So I hoik up the edge, then I hoik up the other edge, and then I jiggle it into the car, and I wrap a seatbelt in the rear of the car around it. So I can do it so far, but when it's full of paint pots, it is quite heavy to get up into your car. So as long as you've got a bit of muscle, it's fine. Or, you know, another choice might be you could get a little collapsible, one of those little stepping stools. So this kind of thing. Keep that in the back of your car. This thing here. Keep that in the back of your car, and you kind of hoik it up like this. This is only if you really want to go all out with this sort of thing. So you can put it here, drop the handle down, grab it. There's really good strong handles here. Make sure you bend at the knees, don't hurt your back. Hoik it up, and I kind of drag it up my leg, and then up onto that, and then I can have a rest. And then up again, one more step up into the car. So that's a big beast to have to carry around. It's probably not the best solution for you guys. The next one, oh, sorry for that noise. The next one down, which is, I think, the best choice for you guys, is this one. So this is the little, where are we? I'm going to check the camera. So this is the little one that's got, it's a cube crate, and you can stack your own little plastic crates inside it. And then probably, maybe if you're painting in watercolour and you weren't smudging oil paint everywhere, you could go for one of these little shopping trolley sort of things. But I avoid this one because I'm just going to get that dirty instantly. At least with these black plastic ones, first of all, it doesn't show too much dirt, but when the dirt gets on it, you can just wipe it off and clean it. So that's all the choices. I hope you guys benefit from seeing those options. You can see, obviously, some of those big hulking beasts are probably not going to be right for you, but something in the middle of the range that's practical, this is a really perfect way to start. I started with that and stuck with that for years. So if you have any questions or you've got any comments on what I've just chatted to you about, please let me know. I'd love to hear. And I really hope that little Ninja Art tip's been a really good little benefit for you. Thanks for watching.